The Advanced Generation series really decided to go for the option of Kanto pandering instead of exploring this newly created archipelago, huh? I guess that I have to rewrite the Pokémon anime again. Let's go. Greetings trainers, KuroBlitz here, and welcome back to another video. As you may have noticed by now, today I'll be discussing on how the Sevii Islands archipelago could have been implemented in the Pokémon anime and how the Battle Frontier arc could have benefited from that decision as well, making the Frontier Brains the spiritual successors for the gym leaders of the Orange Islands and also the predecessors for the Island Kahunas of the Alola region. Not to mention that the existence of the Sevii Islands is canon to the Pokémon anime, because we do see the character of Richie going there in Pokémon Chronicles. So I do like to believe that the idea of Sevii Islands could have been a little bit more explored, besides, you know, going to Kanto once again just to promote FireRed and LeafGreen. You have a post-game, they should have used it. And it works even better when you consider that you have 7 main islands and you have 7 battle facilities, so they could have done it. And this is why I am here today. And today I'm going to talk about how the Battle Frontier arc could have been executed in the Sevii Islands archipelago. So trainers, without further ado, let's get started. In regards to the beginning of the arc, I don't think that there is a need to change, because the idea that Ash meets Scott by battling Agatha in the Viridian Gym, it really is interesting, because the character of Agatha has connections with Oak, so therefore also Gary Oak, and Gary's incarnation in the games is the gym leader after Giovanni. So it's a great way to introduce the Battle Frontier by having Ash battle an Elite Four trainer so that he can sense the power scaling of his next challenge. Not to mention that the character of Agatha is the only Elite Four member of Kanto to not debut in the original series, so her presence is needed. However, in regards to the Battle Frontier arc, Scott with the tropical attire and also by the fact that the Battle Frontier in Pokémon Emerald is in an island, I think it would have fit more besides just being in mainland Kanto, which would make Ash and his friends to explore the archipelago. Although, just because the facilities are now in an archipelago and not in the Kanto region, it doesn't mean that the story, the pacing or the elements would change drastically, because if you think about it, we are just changing the placement, not the story beats. And with that, let's go with the first battle facility. In the anime, we do know that the factory head Noland has a strong bond with Articuno. But because he's a factory head and he works a lot with machinery, I do like to believe that his battle factory is nearby the Mount Amber where Moltres resides, and maybe he has a strong bond with all of the elemental birds, because ice, electricity and fire are all ways to power up machinery. So I do like to believe that besides Articuno, he would meet also the Moltres of Mount Amber, the one that Silver, Chikorita and Salamence with the help of Richie are trying to lure in, and also with the idea that he bonds with Zapdos as well, because the legendary birds are the ones that the Pyramid King Brandon uses besides the Regis, so I would love for Ash to have a taste of the challenge of what's to come by battling Noland and maybe all of the 3 birds to some extent. So yeah, factory head Noland in one island's Mount Amber. As for the second Frontier Brain, I think that the Arena Tycoon Greta should have been in 2 islands Cape Break. It makes sense, it's the place where in the games you learn the ultimate moves of Frenzy Plant, Blast Burn and Hydro Cannon, so the idea that a girl with the fighting spirit being in this island where you elevate your Pokemon's potential to the max, it feels just fitting. Not to mention that in the anime she's a fighting expert, and in the games the Sevii Islands is where Bruno of the Elite Four trained Wally, the gym leader of Hoenn, so you do have a link between Kanto and Hoenn perfectly with this archipelago. For the third Frontier Brain, I do believe that the Palace Maven Spencer could have been in the 3 Islands berry forest. You know, he's the balance maven. He's basically an island king before the kahunas. The entire forest is his kingdom, it's his domain. So you have the Metallica Island approach of the island is the facility to some extent. It would have worked perfectly, not to mention that we could potentially have an arc where, or an episode or two where we see, you know, the Hypno and Lostel, and futurely on also see the last Sevii and her Persian, maybe with some plot of Meowth and Team Rocket to some extent, like being characters of the day for one episode or two. But yeah, the idea of Balance Maven Spencer being in the berry forest of Island 3, it would have been amazing. And maybe Sceptile could evolve here, evolve earlier, because I'm rechanging the order of the Frontier Brains to how it fits to the narrative of the Sevii Islands. Now, for the 4th Frontier Brain, after getting the Sea Gallop Pass and going to the actual pass besides the Rainbow one, Dome Ace Tucker being nearby 4 Islands Pokemon Daycare Center. I think this would be amazing because he is more the competitive side, he sees the tactics, and the idea that Tucker is nearby a Pokemon Daycare Center, it just shows like how his Pokemon are bred to be, you know, basically these powerhouses that Ash has to overcome. And the idea that we do see a Pokemon Daycare Center, it can excuse the fact that Ash's Pikachu can continue to learn the egg move Volt Tackle, and May can continue to get the Eevee egg. So again, change the setting, the story is the same. Now this is going to get interesting, because the 5th Frontier Brain, the Pike Queen Lucy, would be in 5 Islands Memorial Pillar. So the idea between Lucy and Brock could have more substance to the story. Maybe we could see Forest, Brock's brother, coming here and actually see Onix become a Steelix on screen, with the idea of the Tectonics being the Onix burrowed underground. I think that, you know, for a queen that worships snake Pokemon like Milotic and Seviper and Shuckle and whatever more, this is something that I think it needs to happen. Instead of having a drama in the Pewter City Gym, Forest is the one that comes to Brock's aid. And speaking of characters, we could see maybe Tracy being a recurring character because he was in the Orange Island, so being in the Sevii as a recurring character to help Ash and the others would be great. And we could have the potential of seeing Misty more and more, because her AG self already is the gym leader of Cerulean, so coming here to train from time to time, and with, you know, there is a character here that would benefit her character a lot. But let's continue on. And this is the big change where the final Frontier Brain, it's not Brandon, but yes, Anabel. And with that, the 6th Frontier Brain, Pyramid King Brandon, would be in 6 Islands Valley, Ruin Valley, in order to discover the mysteries of the Daughter Hall. And also he would go to the 7th Island to see the mystery behind the Tenobi Chamber and also of the Sea Vault Canyon. So I like the idea that in 6th Island Ash actually meets Brandon, but he only defeats Brandon in the island after, and that would be the island of the Salone Maiden, the Tower Tycoon of the Trainer's Hill, that is the character of Anabel. So Anabel, for all of the ability shippers out there, Anabel would be Ash's final challenge in 7 Islands Trainer Tower, which by proxy would be her battle tower. So there's that. And with that, Ash gets all of the 7 frontier symbols and becomes a conqueror of the battle frontier. And the premise of the story ends here. I just like on how all of the main islands of the Sevii archipelago could have been the settlement for each of the battle facilities. Now, irregardless of some elements of the story that could be added upon, not being changed, it could basically fill in for the actual filler of the battle frontier arc. First of all, I do like to believe that Ash and the others they see the Pokemon Network Center in one island, and they could basically meet Celio instead of just re-meeting Bill again, or maybe they could meet Bill again, and the battle network basically, you know, would be where Ash and May have their final battle besides being, you know, Terracotta Town, and they would catch a boat to Kanto and a boat to Hoenn, because in the battle in the network center we do have the time machine of Bill because of the capsules and whatever, and with the Ruby and Sapphire you can transfer Pokemon from one Gen 3 game to another Gen 3 game, with Ash being Kanto and May being Hoenn, so they have that advanced connection. Speaking of the character of May, the Sevii Islands archipelago, in Japanese Nanashima, they are 7 main islands in the games, however there are various codes for unused islands and isles, as they do have index pointers until the number 24 or so, and even the fandom has specific names for the 7 islands like family, bonding, etc. So May's journey as a coordinator can still happen in the Sevii Islands. I mean, even in Kanto she got a ribbon in Chrysanthemum Island, so that's an anime exclusive for Kanto. And Ash, you know, he was in Metallica to get, you know, for Spencer. So that is the thing. Sevii Islands is still part of Kanto, so May could have a Grand Festival second try here, and she would basically use all of those other islands that we do not see in the games that we would see in the anime, because even NPCs in the Sevii Islands state that the Sevii Islands are not named because they are mainly 7, but because they were created in 7 days. In regards how they were created, we don't know. Maybe we could expand upon that with, you know, Groudon and Kyogre, because Lead and Sea, they rise the islands to existence. And yeah, May's character arc would continue on, and now I have to talk about the first girl, and that is Misty, and how the character of Misty could benefit a lot from visiting the Sevii Islands more recurringly, like Tracy could with the character of Lorelei, that was called Prima because of the Japanese kana name. But Lorelei in the games, she's from Island 4, so I like to believe that we could see the character of Lorelei, and also in the Icefall Cave. Maybe we could see the return of Ash's Lapras to some extent, like the Spurt opening was luring to, and maybe even is better free because he flew south. So there are great characters for this to happen. And speaking of great plot elements, the idea that the Ranger Deoxys crisis with Solana to promote Pokemon Ranger instead of happening in Kanto, it could be like in the manga and in the games, and it actually happens on Bird Island. You have islands and places in the games, please use them. And speaking of islands, there is the one big island from another event, and that is Naval Rock, the island where below you can meet Lugia and above you can meet Oo, Ash's patron birds. The idea that we have, you know, like a closure where Ash meets Lugia and Oo in Naval Rock, it would be amazing. It would be a great closure for his character in Advanced Generation. And now that I am speaking more about the idea of Rangers and Legendaries, I have to talk about the movies. And for movie 9, the Manaphy movie, that doesn't change much, it would just happen in Sevii Islands. Now for the Lucario movie, it cannot happen in Rota because that's a sovereign state in the Kanto region. However, in the games we do have Faraway Island, that's the island where you capture Mew at level 30 in Pokemon Emerald, so maybe one of the islands of Sevii could be the Rota Island, and the Tree of Beginning would basically, like, you know, a way to what would be the anime's version of the actual Faraway Island. To end this up, I like to believe that the character of Ultima or Kimberly, depending on what version of the manga you read, her character, like, you know, she would basically, maybe we could see Sceptile learning Frenzy Plant, maybe like early, I don't know. Maybe you can see Charizard learning Blast Burn. Maybe we can see like, you know, or just have the Johto starters to show those moves like they do in the manga, like, because it's basically the promotional to some extent. And now the big change. AG had 2 handbook tropes with Ash battling 2 characters that are linked to Viridian Gym and to Oak, being Agatha and Gary, and he battled 2 Ice Legendaries, being Articuno and Regice. So I like to believe that in this little scenario he would battle Articuno, Moltres, but the first one and the main one would have to be Zapdos, so that the book end trope would be that Ash, the last battle with Anabel, would be Ash battling Raikou with his Pikachu. So facing one Electric Legend and then facing another Electric Legend. It would be amazing. Entei has a movie, Suicune has a game, Raikou never has anything on his own, so this anime moment could save the legendary beast from being forgotten. I do appreciate, and I will always appreciate, how AG kinda made Anabel a redemption for Sabrina, because with Sabrina we never had a proper psychic expert battle, so that's why they made Anabel, because Alakazam, that's Sabrina's ace, Espeon, that's Red's ace in Gen 2, and Metagross, it's Steven Stone's ace, the champion of Hoenn in Gen 3, so she has the aces of basically Beacon's characters that have psychic type Pokemon. But Anabel with Raikou, that would be a great closure, and then the characters would depart ways and the story would end in the same way, as Ash would then go to the Sinnoh region. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. What do you think of the Sevii Islands in the games? What do you think of the Battle Frontier in regards to the adventure, lore, etc, etc? I like to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And for that, and for more videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, trainers, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next time.